So it's about 10:30 in the evening, and I just got done getting everything done for today. I did go to the sale barn this morning. I sold three animals, then I bought six, and when it was all said and done, I had to pay $20.15. But the rest of it was completely covered by the three animals that I sold. I got just around. It was like I got just I think it was like 19 something, but then they charged well, I don't think it was 19 something per animal. I made 1900 something dollars per animal. Then they took a 200 and like a $40 $230 deduction or something like that off the three of them. Then when it was all said and done, uh that's how much money I had. And then I bought six calves for I think it was 920. I believe $924 and something cents was the amount that I paid per calf. Then I bought six. I bought three. I bought three bulls and three heifers. So I got three bulls, three heifers. Oh, I did good today. My calves sold for 1900 something. When it was all said and done, I had to pay the lady at the front $20.15, and then the rest of it was covered by the three animals that I sold. And I got this. I've been working on doing the dividend. I got to figure out how much I'm gonna pay out for the dividend, and so I got that posted on my hand. And I got this cinnamon tea that's been sitting in my fridge. It's just cinnamon sticks that have been boiled in water, and then I just stuck it in the fridge. And so I'm drinking this. It's good. I like it. It's just cinnamon water, and it's real good. And so when I got home today, I had to figure out how much am I going to pay out for the dividend. And so the dividend payout for this month is going to be $173. That's to the best of my it's going to be within 5% accuracy. I would say that it's within 5% accuracy. If I'm really off, it's gonna be off by 10%. But I may even be But I got the numbers on there as accurately as I could. If y'all want to take a look at my post, I don't know if y'all can see it. I don't know if it's gonna focus in on it, but I did it as accurately as I could. I paid $924 per animal today. So I only needed two more animals. I sold three, and to make my herd whole, I only needed five animals. And so that sixth animal, I actually took the $924 and took 10% of that $924, then added it to the dividend because the whole big idea is that I'm always just gonna focus on making the herd whole. Right? I lost two animals. I sold three, so that means I need five animals to make the whole herd to make the herd whole. And so that sixth animal is actually an expansion of my herd. So I went from having a base of 32 animals to having 33 animals. And if anything happens, then those 33 animals are going to be the new base. So if I lose one, then I will have to recuperate that animal. And so, that's how I've decided to run the business. Because the whole thing is that, this whole thing, and I talk about this all the time, and I'm not saying this to be a prick. I'm not saying this to be an arrogant jerk. We just got to be honest with ourselves, right? I mean, I'm just flat out honest about it. If I fail, then there is no dividend, right? I mean, if I fail, if the business fails, there is no dividend. And if you think about it, the dividend goes up when I do better, right? As I do better, the dividend goes higher. So it's important that in terms of my situation, I will be as sincerely honest as I can with paying out the dividend. I have a formula for how I'm going to pay out the dividend. So I have a formula for how I'm going to pay out the dividend, right? And I'm going to stick to the formula, right? I'm not gonna sell my soul to the devil for whatever. I mean, it's just not worth it because the whole thing about the dividend is that and I talked about this, but the dividend is a percentage of the money that I have left over. All right, I don't care about the money that I have left over. I have 10% of the money that I have left. I don't care about that. Right? I'm more focused on growing my business, and so I'm looking to grow the equity of my herd. Right? I went from having 32 animals to having 33 animals. So my herd grew. And also, I'm also sitting on about well, I got my option contracts actually just about broke even today, and so I mean we'll have to see where this whole thing goes, and I may just take my money out of the markets, and we'll have to see because well, I mean if I'm gonna go to the markets again before the end of the month and I liquidate the option contracts and I take that money, and then I have about $1,000. I'm still sitting on about $1,000. I believe it's like 960 or something like. It's just about 1,000. I have just about $1,000, and then I also have $1,100 in option contracts that are negative. I think they were negative $35 today, negative $45, something like that, negative $55, something like that. It was going up and down between negative 35 and negative $45. So effectively, I've lost 35, 45. But I haven't really even lost money, right? Because I haven't liquidated the contract, so it doesn't matter. I still have the contracts. They're negative $35, $55, or something like that today. And so if I liquidated those contracts and just put the money back in my bank account, I would effectively have about $2,000. And so I could actually grow the size of my herd again. I could actually grow the size of my herd by about 2 animals. So I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do. I'm actually taking a look at my situation, and something that's very interesting that's happening right now is that I am actually not feeding much grain at all. I've actually so I brought home 6 animals today, and I gave the 6 animals 2 buckets of grain, and then for all of the other animals that I have left here, for the rest of the animals, I only fed 3 buckets, and they actually left about a half a bucket. So there is a large amount of grass on my fields right now, and the animals are just stuffing their face with grass. I gave them 3 buckets of grain. There's maybe I think it's I believe it's 17 animals or so. I believe it's 17 animals, and those 17 animals, 16 animals, something like that, only ate 2.5 buckets of grain. I got 16 animals out there, and I gave them grain. I said I gave it to them, and they could eat as much as they want. And I gave them and I gave them 3 buckets of grain, and they only ate 2.5 of it. They actually left a half a bucket left over, and then I pushed them out into the front. They ate grass for about 2 hours, and then they were just completely full, and they were going around, just running around. So I put them back in the back. And so, I got a lot of grass right now. I got a lot of grass, and the grass that's here too. I actually have, I have that forage wheat, and that forage wheat is growing fast. It is growing fast, and I actually told you that this was gonna happen. And I'm not saying that to be a whatever. I'm not saying that to be a jerk about it. I told you, but I told you it was gonna happen. And when the grass actually starts to enter flowering, when that grass actually develops a flag leaf, that grass will actually grow even, the grass will accumulate biomass even faster. And so right now it's just growing proportionally, right? It's just growing proportionally, but also actually, in all honesty, okay. So and I talked about this. Well, I mean, I wrote this, yesterday in the description of the video, but it's very important to have a reasonable idea of your margins of success. And so I guess when it comes to growing grass, I guess I can talk about some margins of success. What am I thinking about? What was I thinking about when I went to go and fertilize the other field, et cetera, et cetera. And so I guess I can talk to you about it right now. And this is a very realistic time to take a look at it, because I call this forward thinking, objectively correct, right? I talk about this all the time. You can't be in a situation where you're thinking in la land journey terms. Okay, life is not a la land journey. Most people get wrecked. Most people get freaking wrecked. I mean, I'm telling you the truth. And I'm not saying this to be a horrible person. I'm not saying this to be malicious. A lot of people get absolutely wrecked. All right, then lying to yourself is not a good situation. All right, being proud of yourself when you're effectively going 180 degrees in the wrong direction is not good. Okay, it's not good. You don't want to be in a situation where you just where you've got the complete wrong idea, and you're looking to take everybody with you. Okay, that's not good. And so I'll talk about the things that I see here in terms of what do I see. So what am I talking about? Right. So I get to it. Right. What am I talking about? And so what I'm talking about is, like, when I take a look at my grass right now and I take a look at how much biomass it's accumulated, I understand that this grass actually needs a substantial amount of water. And so, if it stops raining and if it gets hot, if it gets in the mid 80s, when it gets in the mid 80s, we're starting to get towards that point where it's getting to the mid 80s. When it goes over the 85 degrees and it's full sunshine outside, and the soil does not have a significant amount of moisture, the plant will actually stop accumulating biomass practically under any circumstance. Water will become the limiting resource. So the plant will actually begin to accumulate biomass slowly, and if the water dries up a lot, then the plant will effectively just stop growing, and then the growth of the plant will actually go negative. And so I was taking a look at the Weather Channel earlier today, and I was taking a look at it because I have this money left over, and I was like, you know what? If I could just put fertilizer on my fields, I may not have to buy any grain for like 2 months. I may not have to buy any grain at all for 2 months. I took a look at my situation today, and I was like, I only fed 2.5 buckets of grain today. And I only fed 2.5 buckets of grain, and so and the grass is coming in real good. So I mean that's good. I mean even if I fed 2.5 buckets of grain a day, the grain that I have right now will last me probably another month. I mean it probably will. I probably have about 2 weeks worth of. If I was gonna feed like 17 buckets a day, I could feed the grain for probably another week and a half, 2 weeks, probably until the end of the month, the beginning of next month, right? That's what I've been saying. If I full on fed grain, I would have to buy grain at the beginning of next month. But as of right now, I'm only really feeding about 2.5 buckets. I only fed 2.5 buckets of grain a day, or today. I only fed 2.5 buckets when I'm normally feeding like 15, 17 buckets. So that goes to show just how much of a reduction in the amount of grain that I am feeding. I'm feeding a drastically less sum of grain, and I have the animals on grass, and they are just completely stuffing their face. The animals are completely full on grass. They're going to be conditioning well, even with just the grass and just a minimal amount of grain. As of right now, maybe I'm feeding about a half a percentage, maybe 1%, not even 1% of their body, maybe about a half a percentage of their body weight a day in grain. And I give it to them, and they won't even eat it, even if I give it to them. So, I don't know if y'all can hear the calves, but the calves are balling out in the back. But that's the situation, and so I was taking a look at everything, and I was taking a look at it, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I put more. Maybe I put some fertilizer on my field, and I was taking a look at it, and then I took a look at the Weather Channel. So I was sitting there looking at it, thinking about it, because I was like, I got a couple $1,000s. I could go and increase the size of my herd, or I can go and fertilize my fields, or whatever it may be, whatever it is that I want to do. And also, next month I got solid animals for market next month too. I got animals back there that are they're gonna hit the scales pretty hard. Oh yeah, I forgot to say the animals this time around hit the scales at 643.3 pounds. So the three animals combined hit the scale at 643.3. So that's good. I was off by like 1 point something percentage. So that's good, right? I did good on that. I knew that one of the animals was gonna hit the scale a little bit light. Oh, and I only sold three animals today. The fourth animal, I decided that he was just way too light, and I actually made the right call, because if I took him, he would have hit the scale at like 550, and so that's not good. And so I kept the Brangus animal. I said that I got a Brangus animal that's got a little bit of an ear on him, but I decided to keep him because he was just a little bit too small. And so the three animals that I took hit the scale at 643.3. And then I made a 1900, just over $1,900 per animal. And I took that money and I purchased six animals. And the six animals that I purchased at 940 something dollars. And then I purchased six, I sold three, and then I had to pay $20.15. And then it was just a done deal. So I got six animals, I sold three, and I paid $20. And next month I actually got a real solid animals going to market. So I'm doing real well for myself, and right now I'm sitting on about $2,000 cash. So I figured I could grow the size of my herd even more. I could take the size of my herd from 33 to 35. I could do that, or I could go and buy fertilizer. I got to figure out what I'm gonna do. I got a couple $1,000s. And I actually grew my business, and I don't really want to go way out of my way to purchase two calves, right? And so I was like, you know what, maybe I just buy them at the beginning of next month, right? And then I just expand my herd a little bit more next month, right? I just whatever sell three and sell three and buy eight or something, right? Or sell three and buy seven, and or I'll figure it out. But that's probably what I'll end up doing. I don't really want to go way out of my way. If I gotta go to a sale barn, even if I go to a close one, it's about 50 minutes away. And the one that I normally go to, I got two that I normally go to, and I got two sale barns that I really normally go to, and there's a third one that I want to go check out, but it's kind of out the way. And but I've been to all the sale barns in the area, and I really like the two that I go to, and there's a third one out there kind of out the way, and but I mean those two are about an hour and a half away. The two that I normally go to are about an hour and a half away, and so yeah, but I don't they're about an hour and a half away, so yeah, I don't really want to go way out of my way to purchase two animals. And so, yep, I'll probably just end up taking three to market beginning of next month, and then I'll take that money, and then I'll add the 2 grand, or I'll take the 2 grand, and but the whole thing about the reasonable margins of success is that when I take a look at the situation, and even if I'm like, oh, you know what, I anticipate that my grass is metabolizing probably about I've always said that grass plants when they are larger, they actually metabolize more, right? You think about it in terms of a proportion, right? The larger plants accumulate more minerals, accumulate more resources, right? More carbon dioxide, more nitrates, more everything, right? And think about it like food, right? If you got a 600 pound person, that 600 pound person is going to eat much more than a 250 pound person, and that 250 pound person is going to eat much more than a 50 pound person, right? And so if you got a grass that is 10 times bigger, that grass is going to accumulate more resources, right? If you got a little sprout, and then you got like a full on grass that about to go into flowering, and it's accumulating biomass at a very that grass is going to accumulate more minerals than a small piece of grass. And so I take a look at the situation, and I say, well, it's been about 3 weeks, it's been about 2 weeks, and I've honestly had about 4 inches of rain in the last 2 weeks. It was about 3 inches of rain in the last 2 weeks, 4 inches of rain the last 2 weeks. And so I think about it, and I say, well, this is the kind of grass that I'm looking at. This is the biomass of grass that I'm looking at. The grass is planted at this density. I have this many plants per square foot, and the grass is this big. And I anticipate that this grass is metabolize have probably has metabolized about 50 pounds of nitrogen at a roughly. I always use a 513, and I've always said that with grass, 513 is kind of a reasonable estimate. And then I take a look at my situation, and if I'm going to be putting a positively charged fertilizer on my field within the next 2 months or so, then I may even consider just switching over to straight urea. Because if I put straight urea on the field, I'm not going to dump straight urea on my field. But if I put it on, like in the spring, usually I get 2 or 3 opportunities every month in the spring. Right, in the spring, I get about 2 or 3 opportunities every month to utilize negatively charged fertilizers properly. Right, what are the conditions for utilizing negatively charged fertilizers properly? Usually you want about a half an inch to an inch of rain. Right, you don't want it to be a downpour because it's going to carry your fertilizer away. Do you have groundwater? If you have groundwater, and what kind of soil consistency do you have? Right, I have clay loam. Right, I have black clay, and I don't have any groundwater underneath me. And so, but even then, I would anticipate, and I've always said that in terms of a bigger, broader idea, if you get about 3 to 4 inches of rain a month, and you get about fall, winter, and spring, effectively over 8 or 9 months. But if you're growing something like corn, and you have a lot of irrigation, and you're really pushing that biomass accumulation, it's a little different. But realistically, we're talking about 200 to 250 pounds of nitrogen. Okay, somewhere in that range is usually what is considered in terms of causing the least amount of damage. And when it comes to a negatively charged fertilizer, the what we're talking about is leaching, right? Because positively charged fertilizer binds to the soil. You have to remember that. positively charged, soil is negatively charged. So positively charged fertilizer will legitimately like magnetize to the soil. It will like stick like a magnetic bond to the soil, so it won't go anywhere. But negatively charged fertilizer, when it rains, will actually create a solution in the water, and then that rainwater with the negatively charged fertilizer is suspended in the water will actually permeate the ground. And if it permeates the ground and the solution of the nitrogen solution is too high, then you have nitrogen solution that is just running through your soil. And if you have groundwater underneath, if there is a groundwater underneath your field, then that nitrogen solution could end up in the groundwater, and that's not good. Okay, that's environmental pollution. In my area, I don't have any groundwater. How do I know this? Well, about 50 minutes away, I got it tested, and I didn't have any groundwater. And in all honesty, if there was any groundwater at all, right? There are thousands of acres of farmland in every direction of me. Thousands of acres. If there was any groundwater at all, people would be using it, okay? That's another way to know. I mean, in all honesty, that's another way to know. If there was any groundwater at all, there are legitimately tens of thousands of acres of farmland in every direction of me, and I have not seen one person use an irrigation pivot. Not one person. Not a single person. I don't know anybody with even a well in my area. I don't even know anybody with a well. All right? I don't know a single person with even a well. So, I don't have any groundwater in my area. All right. And so, but am I going to go and just drop a bunch of negatively? No, I'm not going to drop a bunch of negatively charged fertilizer on my field. Realistically, I'll increase the fertilizer usage by about 10 or 20%. And that's about it. And I'm only going to do that when I actually anticipate that the plant will metabolize the minerals. All right. This is what I'm talking about when I say, reasonable margins of success. There is no universally just this is the answer all the time, right? The world is very dynamic. Sometimes it's cold and it's dry. Sometimes it's cold and it's wet. Sometimes it's hot and it's dry. Sometimes it's hot and it's wet. Sometimes it's just right. Sometimes it's warm and wet, and sometimes it's whatever, right? I mean, that there are many circumstances, and even soil. Soil is not just soil, right? You have sandy soil like at a beach, right? You have clay soil like over here. You have silty soil. I mean, and then you have a mix of all three, right? And then you have different pHs, and there are a lot of things to consider. And so, but just having a reasonable idea for the margin of success is very important. I took a look at my situation. Oh, well, it's going to be dry over the next 2 weeks. I'm not going to have any rain over the next 2 weeks. Then I'm not going to fertilize my grass, okay? I'm not going to fertilize my grass. Why would I fertilize my grass? It's not going to do anything, right? And actually, and the grass looks very good right now, but the grass will actually probably stop growing in about 5 days. It probably will, unless it rains. It will probably stop growing in about 5 days. And if it really does not rain for 2 weeks, then the grass will actually start to die back a little bit, and the cattle will be chewing on it. So the grass will actually die back a little bit. But that's actually good. I actually want the cattle to chew the grass back, because if the grass just continues to grow, it's going to go into flowering. And if it goes into flowering, the feed values of the grass drop very quickly. And then also, if it produces a seed, the grass itself will die. So, I really want to keep this grass on my field until about June. And if I really want to keep this grass on my field until about June, I need to have it grazed very heavily, like to the ground. So, I need to keep it grazed. And keeping it grazed will have it grow back. It'll grow back and it'll grow vegetatively. So that's good, right? I would like it. I need to keep it grazed. So and I got plenty of cattle here, and I got 23 cattle here right now. And then I have 10 over on the lease property, and that makes a total of 33. So, yep, that's correct. So, I have 23 cattle here right now, and I have 10 over at the lease property. And, I need to, but that's actually a good point. I actually need to go and graze my grass to the ground as hard as I can over the next 2 weeks while it's dry. while it's not raining, because if the grass continues to grow like this, within the next 2 weeks it'll start to flower, and then if it goes to seed, the grass will die, and then I'm just gonna be kind of boned until June, so until July. So I really want to be grazing this grass until about July. So that'd be good. But that's actually a good point. But I don't think the grass is gonna grow much at all over the next 2 weeks. Oh, for about the next 5 days, it'll grow a lot. Maybe not even five. Maybe the next 3 days, because it's already been 2 days. So maybe over the next 3 days, it will grow a lot, and then after that, it's just not really gonna grow at all until it rains again. It's water will actually become the limiting factor. Without any water, the plant will not grow anymore, and so I'm not going to fertilize it if I'm not going to get any rain. But if I'm going to get rain, then now I can think about, well, how much fertilizer do I anticipate that the plant has utilized? How much fertilizer do I believe that my overall acreage has utilized? And I could just replenish it, right? I'm not gonna put a whole bunch of fertilizer, but I could just replenish it. Maybe 30 pounds of nitrogen, and realistically, I'll get another opportunity to fertilize. I'll get in the spring. I'll get at least 2 chances to fertilize a month. Okay, I'll get at least 2 chances to fertilize a month most of the time. If not, at least I'll get one. Okay, and so it's not that big of a deal. And so I'm not gonna, maybe I just replenish the minerals, and granted, in probably if it doesn't rain over the next 2 weeks, the plant material will actually the amount of biomass that I have overall will actually go negative for a little while, and then but it's not going to go to zero, right? I mean, the cattle will graze it and it'll stop growing, and so I'll take a look at how much plant material there is, and then I'll determine how much fertilizer should I put on it. And when I determine how much fertilizer I should put on it, I'm gonna think about a reasonable estimate. How much do I believe this grass has metabolized over the last whatever time period, and also how long do I believe that this grass will be metabolizing this fertilizer that I'm utilizing right now for? When will I get another opportunity to fertilize my field? Do I not have another opportunity to fertilize my field for another 2 weeks? I mean, what do I and what am I looking at? But that's what I mean by a reasonable margin, right? I mean, you got to think about things of reasonable margins. Why would I fertilize my field if it's not going to rain, right? Why would I do that? I don't have any irrigation equipment. Why would I do that? Why would I put 100 pounds of nitrogen on my field? Why would I do that, right? I mean, what kind of, how much in terms of how much minerals has the grass metabolized out of the environment. What do I anticipate is a realistic number, and when will I get another opportunity to fertilize my grass? And what kind of grass am I looking at, right? Is the grass what stage of development is the grass in? How much biomass has each plant effectively accumulated, right? I mean, what am I looking at, right? And then I figure it out, and then I determine what I need to do. And that's what I did for the other field too, right? I took a look at the grass. I said, oh, I took a look at the plant material. I walked the field and I said, oh, there is definitely grass here. It's some kind of a prairie grass. I think it's common Bermuda. The grass is spreading via its root material. I can tell when I look at it. And it's definitely grass. And so if I just fertilize this grass, then the grass will continue to propagate itself. And what kind of fertilizer am I going to use? How much am I going to use? And so I determined this is the kind of fertilizer I'm going to use, and this is how much I'm going to use. And then I went and did it, and then boom, there it is, right? And then it rained 2 times, and then now I got 10 inches of grass everywhere. I have 10 inches of grass over here. I have 10 inches of grass over there. The cattle are just stuffing their face on grass. I mean, the cattle are just completely gorged on grass right now. And another way to look at it is, I have 23 animals here, and they're only eating 2.5 buckets of grain a day for the 23 animals. I fed 5 buckets, but 2 of those 5 buckets went to the animals laying in the preconditioning pen right now. Right, I brought 6 animals home today, and I gave them 2 buckets of grain, and then the rest of the 17 animals got 3 buckets of grain. And when I took a look out there, there was a half a bucket of grain left. They actually didn't even eat all 3. They didn't even eat all 3 buckets, and they are just completely stuffing themselves with grass right now. They are completely gorged on grass, and the grass is about 10 inches tall. So that's another way to look at it. I'm doing real good right now. I'm doing real good. I actually even grew my business. I got to pay out about $173 or something like that. It's like 173 bucks for the dividend. I still have enough money left over to realistically buy two animals. Over the next 2 weeks, I probably won't be buying any fertilizer because it's not. It looks like it's not going to rain, so I'm not going to buy any fertilizer. I'll just feed the grass that I have right now. And then, realistically, by the beginning of next month, I'll probably buy some fertilizer. I would anticipate that by the first week of next month, I get an opportunity to fertilize the fields. And so I'm going to go ahead and fertilize both fields. And and I got good animals ready for market. I got 3 weeks now. It's Monday today, and then in 3 weeks it will be the first Monday of next month. And the first Monday of the month is when is also when I go into buy and sell cattle. The first Monday of every month. So I got 3 weeks, and the animals that I got back there right now, I got solid animals ready to go for market. And I'll probably end up selling three. Buying whatever. Maybe I'll buy seven. I'll sell three, buy seven, and I'll buy a couple tonnages of I don't know, a couple tonnages of urea or fertilizer or whatever else it is, that 1.5 tons of fertilizer. I'll go and buy about 1.5 tons of fertilizer or something. I'll figure it out. But right now I got about 2 grand. And then next month I'll sell three. They're gonna hit the scale at about 650. And then I'll buy 6 or 7 or something, and then yeah, but I'm doing good, and I may, whatever, if I can find I need two calves, but I got 2 grand right now, and I don't really want to be sitting around with 2 grand. I don't need 2 grand. I mean, what am I gonna do with that? I don't need an extra 2 grand, right? I'd rather have two more cattle, so I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do with that. I don't really want to go and go out of my way to buy two calves, and so. Yeah, I'll figure it out. I gotta figure it out. But I'm doing real good for myself. Technically, I got enough. I got enough money right now to. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this 2 grand. I really want to go and buy. I really want to go and buy more cattle. I really want to go and buy more cattle. Maybe I just hold on to it and buy fertilizer next month. But I'll figure it out. But that's it for me today. Y'all have a good one. Okay, YouTube.